to talk about social justice, racism. We want to talk about the dichotomy between like the Proud Boys and BLM and what is going on in our nation today and what this election really is all about. Because it's more than just points and ideology and racism. It really is about more political points of view. In my opinion, I find Black Lives Matter to be a Marxist movement. And I say that because all three originals were Marxists. Matt here is going to talk a little bit about that. And I find the Proud Boys over here to be called racist, but as far as I can see, I haven't seen any racism in them. In fact, the leader of the whole Proud Boys thing is actually half Cuban and half black. And it's nothing in their things that says about racism. In fact, it's actually anti-racism, anti-guilt for any race. It's pro-entrepreneurship. It's less government. It's more freedom. Now, Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, and what I've read about, is, and their mission statements has been to take away the family unit, which is racist, supposedly to them, which means fathers should not be in the families, that mothers should not have to raise their children, as the state should. There are other, and I was at Black Lives Matter, and the whole reason I got involved was I went down to the courthouse, and all the statements were, fuck the white guy, kill the cops, and we have to replace capitalism with Marxism. What is Marxism? Socialism. What is socialism? It's no different than communism. Now, when you guys go, oh, they're Nazis and these things, do you realize the Nazis were socialists? Do you realize they are left? And by definition, the right is less government, the left is more government. There is no, oh, there's a right-wing dictator. It's not happening. The more right-wing you go, the less government you have. The Nazis were dictators. They were national socialists. They were a failed communist adventure.
You got a question for me here yet?
Well, let's talk. No. Well, answer that. Answer that. Okay. And Black Lives Matter, and the three people that started it are all Marxists. And I think this is two of them trained Marxists.
Okay, I think this is a fair way to do it, rather than question answer. I like what you're doing.
Well, these are our concerns, and I want you to answer them.
I understand. Let me finish here. I love this. That I think it's a good way for us to do this. That we can make statements, then we can respond. So I like this a lot. Yeah. So, and I like your statement that your experience with the Black Lives Matter event communicated something to you about who they are, right?
How about across the United States?
Okay. Let's have an agreement here that I'm going to let you talk.
Okay, talk.
You let me talk. And we're not going to do a Tuesday night debate interaction here, right? I think we'd all appreciate that, wouldn't we? Yes. Wouldn't we appreciate that? It's not happening anymore, wouldn't you? Or what happened this afternoon at our rally, right? So let's talk about this. So I like the idea, and I appreciate it, because what I'm about to say is my experience with the Proud Boys, and this has been our experiences in California, in Michigan, up in Ocala, was that it was statedly racist. My experience with them. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know if you're a Proud Boy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is why this is so helpful, because the Proud Boys is not a uniform group everywhere you go in the country, right?
No, Antifa is though.
No, it's a unified organization.
Yes. And
no, you just said it's not.
So
it is a unified organization.
Okay, then here's where my struggle is.
I just told you
my interaction,
every core tenet that we have.
Okay, my interaction with the Proud Boys though was that they demonstrated themselves as racist to us.
What would they do?
Statedly racist.
What they do?
So
what they do?
I understand.
Okay,
let me finish.
Specifically, what they do? No, everybody quiet.
Hey, Frank, hang on a second. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a conversation. Okay?
Well, they're also here.
No.
He's representing the Proud Boys.
Listen, listen. Here's what I'm here to do, Jason. You and I are going to have a conversation about this, okay? And it's going to go great. I'm just telling you my experience.
What did they do? That's what I'm asking.
They shouted the N-word, they shouted go home, they shouted white supremacy.
Okay, well, no, beyond that. No, there's bad people in every group. Okay. So when Black Lives Matter comes around and says,
Jason, listen to me here. We have a deal. You're going to let me talk. I'm going to let you talk, and we're going to have an interaction.
We're having conversation.
And listen, to the degree to which
goes back and forth.
The degree to which that happens, I'm willing to stick it out, and if you want to agree with me on that, feel free to, and if you want to disagree with me on that, feel free to. I'm just saying, I recognize your experience with Black Lives Matter gave you an impression. I'm telling you my impression of the times I've interacted with the Proud Boys on our tour in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So that's my experience with it. Now I will tell you that the President of the United States called out the Proud Boys as a white supremacist organization.
No, he didn't.
No, he did not. That's false.
Let the table talk,
Let the
please.
table talk. It's me and him right now. No yelling out. Because we can't have that.
Hey,
To
I am
their
the
defense.
ranking officer of our chapter for Proud Boys. I don't want to hear one Proud Boy say a damn word in here. And I'll tell you what, Mighty Joe Base is the freaking SSA because Pop's ain't here. So, Proud Boys, shut the hell up.
There you go. Okay, there you go. There you go.
So here's what I think is so helpful, because for all of us, we have organizations that have popped up.
Wait a minute, back up.
That we have organizations that
Back up.
Can you let me?
Let him finish. Let him finish, and then
Okay,
we'll
here's the
rebuttal.
deal. I'm gonna give 5 more times of this, and then I'm gonna go. If we can't do this, if I have to keep stopping and pausing because people are interrupting my sentences, literally not
Let him
having, literally right now doing it, mansplaining me here. Just give me
Wow,
a
that was rude.
minute to make my statement, okay? Jason, please, we have a deal. We've worked it all out. It's
Did I not just say for everybody to be quiet? so you can
yeah.
speak?
While you were interrupting me, trying to ask people to be.
You're rude,
No,
though.
guys, stop.
Everybody shut the fuck up! Let them talk! I don't want to have to say it again!
Guys, you're in a bar.
Go!
You're at
Hey.
my job.
All right, Doug.
I want to say something 1 second here. We're in a restaurant.
Yes.
There's no swearing in here.
Sorry,
There's no
thank you.
yelling. Other people are trying to eat, so keep it down.
Thank you.
You're lucky you're even in here.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, so people have different experiences, is what I'm getting at. I can't explain your experience with Black Lives Matter. All I can tell you is that is a phrase that I'm very comfortable expressing, because I want people to say that Black Lives Matter. And here's why I think they don't. Because so many of my friends who are black in this country remind me daily, including people that tour with us, that their lived experience in America is that their lives don't matter. Now, I understand that there was a group founded to express that opinion, and I understand that 3 of the founders have their own history of how they got there. But I am unwilling to suggest that 3 people's experience around a phrase is the totality of that phrase. I am not any way, shape, or form a member of any Black Lives Matter group or organization. I'm just telling you I appreciate that phrase, that statement, because I think it represents a really important part of our social dynamic in our country. That's all I have to say about Black Lives Matter. I don't know anything more about it, anything less about it. So what else would you like to talk about?
Okay, for you to say that you don't know anything about Black Lives Matter but support them, that's like saying Antifa is just an ideology,
An idea.
an idea, okay? Black Lives Matter is a global organization that you're supporting, that literally on their website and literally on their speeches is pro-Marxism.
You ready for me?
Yes.
Go to their website right now, pull it up, go to blacklivesmatter.com.
I've done it.
Right now, look it up. I double checked a couple days ago.
I've done it.
There's nothing on there about anything you've described.
It says take away the corporations. Yes, it does. I've been there.
Everything.
Thank you. Take away the corporations.
I've been on
Take
it and I
away
have
capitalism.
it. And the families.
Corporations
It says
are-
we're against. They
Look,
are
you got phones in your
pro-trans.
hand. Look it up right now.
I've been there.
Yeah, well, that's what
all I
we're
have
gonna
to
do.
say.
That's what part of this video
Yeah.
is to inform people. Please go to Black Lives Matter. Please read about them.
Yeah.
Please research them.
So that's all I have to say about
His
it.
opinion is they are not a.
No, I know.
They're for Black Lives Matter, even though not $1 has gone to Black Lives.
Listen,
Not $1.
I am not
When you hit
expressing-
donate on Black Lives Matter, where does it go?
Again,
Act Blue.
Again,
And
Jason.
Act Blue. Yes, please. This is where I would like Doug to speak. Doug, speak as loud as you can. Thank you.
Matt.
I'm sorry, Matt. Please speak as loud as you can and face the other way, please. Face the crowd.
So you're denouncing Alicia Garza. That's okay.
I don't know anything about Alicia Garza.
Just wanted to
I know that.
She's
That's
a
all I
founder.
know. That's all I know.
All right. Now, let me finish. They were co-opted by Black Futures Lab, co-founders. Okay, you know who they are? No. It's an organization, it's a CPA front. which means Chinese Progressive Association with direct connections to the Chinese Communist Party. They fund BLM as well. Now, this is a Black Lives Matter global network. This thing's huge. They took in over $1 billion this year. Act Blue receives the donations, and that's where everybody, most people know that, but you're missing the next step. Because they are a corporation, they don't want to have to pay taxes. So what do? They throw it over to an outfit called Thousand Currents. They're the underwriter. Handles the money and redistribution. They do not have to file 990 forms with the IRS. Here's where it gets really sticky. You know, we're speaking about far left, trying to take our country into the drain. Susan Rosenberg handles the distribution of the money. In the 60s, she was a member of a domestic terror organization, Weather Underground. Now, some of us are old enough to remember that. Remember Bill Ayers? He's now a professor at the University of Chicago. He was also Barack Obama's mentor. She is connected with the M19, which bombed the Capitol and a Naval War College, as well as the robbery of a 1981 of a Brinks armored truck in which a guard was killed. In 1984, she was nabbed with a trunk load of dynamite. She was pardoned after serving 17 years in prison just before Bill Clinton left office. She is an avowed communist. After the money is distributed among administrative partners, the rest is donated. In other words, it's passed around and watched. That's a polite way of putting it. The rest is donated to the DNC. In summary, not one thin dime goes to the betterment of African Americans, and that's the truth. Not one thin dime. Think about what $1 billion could do for our brothers of color. And just to let you know, my niece is married to a black man, and if I would have bought her kids to what that woman was screeching, I'd have been embarrassed, because that's the most racist thing I've ever heard. And I've been around a while. Okay, BLM has also been co-opted by the Muslim Brotherhood and the various George Soros groups. The Open Society, and inside the Open Society is the Tides Foundation. So ain't nobody telling me here that they aren't getting Soros money. And he's wrecked a lot of countries in his history, and we're the coup de grace. So,
Now, the other question that I would like to ask you, you're directly funded by these organizations.
No.
Well, we can, and again, everybody, don't take my word for it. Everybody on Facebook, please go up, look up. What is it again? Vote Common Good, and look at the connections between the Soros money and this group. They're not running around in a $3 million bus that is leased, from what you said. You know, and when you look at leasing, your bus gets about 4 to 5 miles a gallon. You pay mileage on it, and you pay a monthly lease.
Well, I can tell you exactly how much our bus costs a month. It costs $45,000 a month for us to operate the bus. Wow. We'd love for you to make a contribution and donation. Hey, can I just...
Guys, let them speak.
This man is still an American. He is our brother. So
Yes.
And look, we're not hiding anything about our money. Can I just make one clarification on Act Blue?
Because I know my stuff.
You do, and I really appreciate that you do. So here's the thing, Act Blue is a fundraising module. So what it is, so here's what it means. Just like if you give someone money through PayPal or Venmo, and they move the money to those people, that's what Act Blue is.
And the money goes to 1,000 crowns.
Okay, hang on a second. What Act Blue does, takes in donations, and then keeps track of it for you, and then delivers that money to whatever organization the contribution was made on behalf of. That's all Act Blue does. So the idea that somebody with Act Blue would be taking other monies and spending it, that's not, even our organization uses Act Blue to collect donations. So if you were to go to votecommongood.com, it would take you to the Act Blue module, and that's how it works. So this idea that somehow we're funded, that Black Lives Matter as an organization uses Act Blue, and we use Act Blue, would be like saying this bar takes American Express, and that store takes American Express, so they're each getting money from the same place. All it is a money processing
system. Just a rebuttal. But you're doing an end around of where it ends up.
It's not an end
Okay.
around, I promise you.
Okay,
All of
but-
this is reported out.
Leave Act Blue out of it.
Yeah.
They're a collection agency. The reason why they don't have any of the dough is because they're a corporation. It does go to Thousand Currents. That's where the money gets distributed. Okay?
Right, so-
That's where Black Lives Matter money goes. Forget Act Blue. That's
No.
where it goes.
Well, I don't know anything, okay,
Well, I
again,
do.
I just wanna
Well,
make this
he does
perfectly
Not
clear.
one
So
thing
let's-
done goes
Let
to
me make this,
African
let me
Americans.
make this perfectly
No,
clear
wait,
for the
you
point of our
said let
conversation.
him finish.
I did.
You did not.
Are you all finished?
I was gonna say, the crux of the story is, there's Black Lives Matter, which we all support, but they've been hijacked by these people. And all they've done is nefarious things across this country. Don't think they don't have professional agitators, because we're watching it on TV every day. And these people, the bad people, they're not, maybe some of the people that get caught up in it, they're professional agitators, okay? And
Listen.
you throw in the mix of Antifa,
Okay, can
and you
I
see
respond to
burning
this?
buildings.
Okay, yeah. Look, I live in Minneapolis.
businesses.
I understand, I live in Minneapolis, I was in those
I'm
protests,
sorry.
I understand it deeply, so thank you for your care about that, 'cause it's been a big deal to our town. And the heartbreaking part of what happened in Minneapolis, and you've been all over my Facebook page, you saw me pleading for people to stop burning our city.
Yeah, people died in that liquor store. Did you
No,
know that?
look, yes.
They couldn't get out the
No,
back door.
No, I do.
Black
know.
Lives Matter lit that on fire.
No, they didn't. Here's what we
Antifa
found out.
Black Lives Matter. It was a
Here's-
Black Lives Matter protest.
No, here's what
They
we've
should
now
be held
found. Well,
accountable.
I wish that was true, Jason. I wish that was true, because then we could talk about Black Lives Matter. It's not true. What is true is that all the fires, and this is from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, all of the fires in Minneapolis were started by white nationalist agitators.
Oh my
Right.
God. I have the video.
Hey guys, stop,
video.
stop, listen. This is for people out on Facebook land
Yeah.
to
So-
make their own decisions.
So have them go look it up, because
Sorry.
what they've done is arrested and indicted. So, okay, so
That would
this
be
is.
law and order, yes.
Yeah, that'd be a law and order. So look, this is the thing that's happened, is that just like, and Jason, I think this is a really good example, maybe you could tell the story about how when we first had our interaction, there was all this kerfluffle that we were somehow, because we appreciate this, we appreciate the statement Black Lives Matter, does not mean we're part
It's
of the
not about-
organization.
No,
So
when
I'm
you-
not going to talk anymore to you about the organization. I think I've made it clear to you. I don't know anything about the organization. I believe in the sentiment and the statement, and I will make it every single day. And I'm not responsible for the organization in any way,
Good.
shape, or form. And Matt, I think you know that the organization is one thing. You know it very well. And the NBA that puts it on their back. The NBA is not part of the BlackLivesMatter.com movement. Neither is Vote Common Good. So let's talk about something else.
Now Liz is gonna speak.
I don't know.
Hi. I think, first of all, every life matters, no matter your ethnicity or your color of your skin. The one thing I will say to you is Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the state of California. She was responsible for putting more black men in prison than any other Attorney General. So, in supporting her, you're almost, it's a quagmire, because here's this woman who was very into the legality and put every black man in prison, and some for an ounce of weed that are there for 19 or 20 years. And here she sits saying she's the first black woman vice president to run on the ticket, and she's going to do all these things for Black lives, when she really, that's a contraindicated of what she did when she was in power. And listen, I love people based on their character and their morality. That's how I judge people.
May I add one thing to that also? Camilla was also the one knowingly having information to exonerate and to prove that people were not guilty.
Right.
Let 2 black lives get executed in California knowing they were innocent, and she would not refuse to release any information until after they were actually executed. The other thing I want to say is, do you know where the most dangerous place for a black person to be? In the mother's womb.
Amen. Amen.
That's the most dangerous place statistically for a black person to be. in the Mongoose Boom. And if Black Lives Matter, why are we not talking about Chicago and the killing? 97% of all deaths of because of gun violence is black on black.
Yes, it is.
There's more white men that are killed by cops every year than black. But yet we do the hands up, don't shoot. That was a complete lie. Breonna Taylor is a complete lie. She, in 2016, had a dead body in the car that she rented. She's on the actual jailhouse recordings, making drug deals and going to the trap house. They knocked on the door. All the neighbors knew they were cops. They met her in the hallway. But yet Black Lives Matter says she was sleeping, it was no knock, they came in and just opened fire. None of that's true. He opened fire first, and the FBI has actually confirmed that. And she was in the hallway between him and the police. He was technically using her as a shield.
Here's another thing about
But,
it.
but wait, I like, yeah,
So
and
this
don't
is the
disagree.
narratives that are
Look,
spread.
I appreciate your comments about Kamala Harris. And thanks for paying
Watch
a lot
your
of
finger,
attention
Don.
to it.
I got it.
I am an anti-death penalty activist. So I've been arrested at the United States Supreme Court and been in jail overnight for this. So it matters a lot to me. So Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, and I disagree vehemently on this.
Okay,
There are things about Joe Biden's record and what he believes and how he wants to be the president that I disagree with.
Okay.
I am not here to convince you to vote for Kamala Harris. I am here, as we travel in our bus, to ask people of Christian faith. If you're not of Christian faith, I'm not talking to you. To deepen into your sense of faith, hope, and love, and to not vote for Donald Trump on Election Day. That's it. You can tell me about Black Lives Matter. You can tell
what
me
about
about Kamala
abortion?
Harris.
Let's get into Trump now.
What
Let's
I
get
want
into
to do,
Trump.
what I want to do is argue that voting for, if you can't vote for Joe and you can't vote for Kamala Harris, please don't vote for Donald and don't vote for Mike. Don't vote for either one of them would be my.
What about abortion?
That's
Why?
my suggestion.
Why do you say that?
Guys, be quiet for a minute. We want to be able to
and may
hear.
I politely
Oh, of course.
ask, what is it that you don't like about Joe Biden that you feel wouldn't make him a good commander-in-chief?
Well, I'm not saying I don't think he'd be a good commander-in-chief. I'm saying I disagree with him on these things.
Which
Yeah,
things?
I don't think he's strong enough on the environment for
Okay.
my sensibility. I want him to make a federal edict to outlaw the death penalty. As a
Okay.
death penalty activist, that matters to me greatly.
Understood.
I am not convinced that we're going to see the kind of police reforms to support police officers in this country that the police officers I know say they need from not only a local level but also from a federal level so that they feel safe. Because the police officers I know feel very unsafe on our streets and the system makes them feel unsafe. So I don't think it does. I don't think that the Biden administration is going to work hard on those. Now, I am committed, and you might know that like I've dropped my whole life and we're doing this work to try to stop Donald Trump. As soon as we get Joe Biden, then I'm going to be spending my time working to make sure that the Joe Biden administration has a world in which everyone is safe, everyone has enough, and no one needs to be afraid. Now, if we don't have a world where everyone has enough, and no one has to be afraid, then all the rest of this falls apart.
So are you saying that we as an American public need to provide every need for every person and they have no self-responsibility to feed themselves, to clothe themselves? And I understand that people fall and they have to get back up and they may need help getting back up. I'm a guardian at Lightem. I'm very involved. That's very passionate to me. So is it that they just get to stay on the roll forever because everybody should be the same? I mean,
Yeah, I must have misspoke. No, in no way, shape, or form am I suggesting that we should have a world in which people don't provide for themselves. But here's the world that I know does exist. And that is that a great number of our population doesn't work for the income they take in.
correct.
So some people on retirement, they don't any longer work, they get income. It's a fair deal.
Yeah, they
Sometimes
say.
the children who have lived in my house, maybe the children who live in your house,
Absolutely.
they don't pay their own way, right? I get floated by the work of my very own wife, and not paying my own way some days, right? She reminds me of that. I also know that people who are in the military and have retired from the military, they're no longer working. But I don't think any of them, or trust fund kids. I don't think trust fund kids who live off their parents' money. I don't think that we're not going to run around in the country and try to make those people get a job or anything. So no, in no way, shape, or form am I saying there's some violation if people work or they don't work. Should the government be the solution to every problem? Absolutely not. Should the government be the problem? Absolutely not, and I'll tell you, under this administration, the government's the problem. That's my argument.
How?
Tell me how.
How?
Wait a minute, can I ask a
How?
question?
Back that up.
I have a question.
Okay, let Doug ask a question real
I have
quick.
a question. You said you don't believe the military retired vets should get what they deserve?
No, I
No,
said they
that's not
absolutely.
what he said.
Okay, that's what I
not
wanna
what he
keep.
said.
No, I said I don't think we should condemn them for not working if they're getting their retirement.
No, that's absolutely right. Okay,
So
thank you.
tell me, let me make sure I understand you correctly. So what you're saying is under the Trump administration, there have been a lot of bad things that he has created. Could you give me a couple of examples of how you feel Trump, what he has done to harm our country?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, and this is important, I think a lot of us would sense this. The role of the presidency is in part the chief executive, and I'd like to talk about that for a second, of the executive branch of the government.
Right.
And the other is that the president is a spokesperson on behalf of the country.
Absolutely.
And you'd really love for the president to play both of those roles. Now, sometimes you can have a president who has a very great affect for the country. Some of us are old enough to think back to Jimmy Carter, but was not a very good executive of the executive branch, right?
Okay, fair enough.
So, there's two roles. I will tell you that I watch Donald Trump's way he performs his duties, and I see him dividing, lying, his corruption, his cheating, his badgering, his cruelty, all the way he does his job, I think is harmful. So I'm going to put a pause on that. I think anybody I've ever met wants to defend Donald Trump's behavior, but I think it's disqualifying to be the president. I think it's unbecoming. If he were a military officer, or if he were the CEO of any corporation, he would be fired for
Do you
his
think
the
those
way he
roles
is.
are protecting you from a virus
So
that
wait
you
a
have
second.
right now?
No, stop.
We're not going.
So let me make sure I understand you correctly. So you're saying all these things about him. What about the things that Nancy Pelosi has said and Chuck Schumer has said and the way they have attacked and people who wished him to die now that he's been infected with COVID that are on that side?
I'm not here to defend Nancy Pelosi. I'm not here to defend Chuck. I'm here to call people of
you
faith.
are. You don't-
I'm here to call people of faith to deepen into faith, open love, and say no to Donald Trump. You don't have to say yes to anybody else. I'm asking you to say no to this man.
So
I mean, I'm a Catholic.
Donald Trump has
Thank you
been
for your
the
faith.
best
Oh,
for
absolutely.
any minority as any president.
Yeah, okay.
He has brought up he has brought up over $6,000 per household.
Okay.
Which none of the Democrats have done for 20 years.
He's not a politician.
He's not a politician.
He's a
It's not
businessman.
about policies.
He's a
It
pragmatist.
is about policies. It's not about a politician. So when you look at more Latinos, more blacks, and everybody supporting Trump because of his pro-life, because of his pro-work, because of his pro-everything, and then we look at, do you realize these cities that have burned down are 20 to 30 years from repairing? Same as what in the 60s?
Okay, can I
So now
respond
you've
to that
taken,
first?
you've taken the black lives, you've taken the minorities, and you've really just put them in a trap that they don't have any choice but to ask for a handout.
May I say
I don't
one
think
thing
that's true.
about?
Well, it's all Democratic cities that are doing this.
Jason, may I say
Go
one
right
thing
ahead,
about your
please.
candidate? Did you read the international news yesterday? Because you're not gonna get on the black box. We all know that. The media is owned by 6 corporations.
Yes,
Most people don't know that.
yes, they do.
Then they're suffering from cognitive dissonance. Did you see what happened?
Brainwashing.
Ukraine indicted Biden and his son
Yeah. You need
for money laundering, for child sex operations, and this and that. Now, how does that affect the United States?
Look, I'm not here to ask you to vote for Joe Biden. I'm here to ask you not to vote for Donald Trump, okay? So can we stop asking
Who was
me
the
to defend-
alternative that you're talking
Hey,
about
listen,
voting for?
listen, I filled out my ballot the other day. I'd be glad to show it to you. I got a picture of it on my phone. I had 7 candidates. I don't know if you all have done your ballots yet, but when you do, there's more than Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So if you can't vote for Joe Biden, also don't vote for Donald Trump. Pick someone else, write them in, vote for Jason, vote for Nice Matter. If I were here, I think I'd vote for
Can we
Liz.
say
So
that?
all I'm telling you is you don't have to vote for that man.
Can we say? Doug,
Chief.
can we say then you are not a Biden and Kamala supporter?
No, I am a Biden and Kamala.
Okay,
supporter.
so
what I'm
then
telling you,
you're okay with them getting money from
Hey,
Russia.
listen.
You're okay with them getting money from Ukraine.
Don't tell me when
You're
I'm
okay.
okay.
Well,
Jason,
then
be
how?
quiet for a
how
second.
are-
China.
well, I'm asking you.
Guys,
Are you
can't
okay?
block like
do you
this, Wally.
let
tell
them?
you.
Don't
Let
block.
me speak for a
Let
minute
him
because I've been
speak.
letting you speak. Do you condemn or do you say it's okay for him to get $3.5 million from Russia? Is it okay for Biden's son? Is it okay for Biden to, and we have the communications between Biden and Ukraine, for his son to get $180,000 a month from Ukraine? Is it okay for Biden to take his son to Russia on Air Force One to get $1 billion out of the Chinese government directly?
Okay, can I answer that? All those things are true. In fact, the vice president is flying Air Force One, so it's just not true.
It's your
Top to
It
bottom.
is true.
Top to
It's
bottom.
facts.
Air Force.
It's facts.
Here's my statement to you about that, my response to it. I don't believe any of that stuff is true. You all get that because you just told me. Hold on a second. You just told me that all the things I told you about Donald Trump are not true. We all watched him say it.
So you're saying that the money trail is not true?
You go ahead. Here's what
They
I'm
have
telling you.
recordings of
Please listen to me.
Mr. Biden.
Even though I voted for Joe Biden, I'm not here to ask you to vote for. I know I did. I'm not here to ask you to vote for Joe Biden. I am simply here not to ask you to act like me. I'm here to ask you to act like the best version of yourself, to deepen into your sense of faith, hope, and love, and say no to this man who you have to defend and argue for every single day.
I got
Look, I have
no to
voted,
Joe.
I have
Vote for
voted for
Trump.
9
We got
presidents.
5 minutes, guys,
I have voted
and then
for-
we'll go over to the brewery.
Hell yeah.
Okay?
I'm going to the beach, but I voted for
We don't want
9.
to
I
debate
voted
anymore?
for 9 presidents.
You don't want to
5
talk
of
about
them,
this anymore?
5 of them have been Republicans. 4 have been Democrats. So I'm willing
And
to
they
vote
were all
differently.
right.
Okay.
So I'm willing to
I
vote
got a
differently.
quick
What I want
question.
Joel to do is be freed from the Trump train. That's all I'm begging of you.
May I ask you a
You
simple
don't have to
question?
follow me. You didn't have to do it.
Done.
I'm just begging you.
Are
I'm not
you
demanding.
a socialist or are you a capitalist?
I'm a capitalist.
Trump 2020.
Okay, so anything socialist you're against free capitalism.
Mary Poppins for you, pal.
But Joe's not gonna be the president. He's
Again, friends, I don't want to talk to you about Joe Biden's candidacy. What I
But
want
he's
to
not
do
gonna be
is
the
I want.
president.
Well, we were agreed to come here. It's why we're coming to the island, which is to ask people to pay for not vote for
5
Joe Biden.
minutes, I know, we got 5 minutes.
Are you a businessman? Do you own a business?
Well, I owned a property
Did?
business which was a bit of a failure. So, like
Okay.
Donald Trump, I'm a failed businessman, Liz.
But you're living like a rock star now.
Oh, please, Jason, you're like
wait a second.
this
No,
like
I'm sorry.
jealousy of my life.
If I
is
was a
disgusting.
musician traveling the country
Jason,
in a $3.5 million
It doesn't
band,
matter.
Jason,
At
we're
the
not
end of the day,
musicians
none of
traveling the
that
country.
matters.
We're a political effort traveling the country.
Correct.
You can get on board any political train you want, and please stop bringing
I
up
am.
how much money you
I am on a political train.
Wait a second. I just, so do you think as a business person, there have been times in situations that
2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes.
that you have had to react in a way to get your point across?
Never in a way that I hope that I would excuse when I was rude, when I was belligerent, when I was cruel. Anytime I have been, which I have been.
Because we're all human.
That was a failure.
That's it. We're
And
all
I'm not
human.
going to double down, and I'll apologize for it, and I will sincerely seek to change. So no, I'm not going to give Donald Trump, I think where you're going, a pass that because he's been trained up as a businessman, he can't be any better. If he can't be a better businessman, to be rude and discounting, he's just unfit to be the president of the United States. Go back to being a businessman because you're a bad president in my view.
Biden's past
And I
is
will
not
respect
So Biden doesn't even know where
disagree
it's
with you,
at.
but I appreciate that you came here.
We appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. The game is over. Thank you, Doug.
Jump!
Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Everybody out.
So we have to leave the premises at the time. So let's go outside.
Well, they won't tell you. Have flu patients out. That's where they can jump around the country.
You're the first guy on the other side. He has to go outside. Listen, he has to go outside.
I have asked.
Keep it going, folks. Keep it going.
Because you've been out there,
Stick with your friends forever. You got one for me. I wouldn't condemn you for being a friend.
Did you end it?
I did, but I didn't. I wanted to make sure.
You're good.
Good God, let's get out of this mess. It stinks.
I wanted to.
I would love to. Maybe we can stay in touch. You can help me get to Cuba.
Thank you.
Doug at VoteCommon.com.
It was nice meeting you. Nice sharing some